The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. So, who is going to win the election? We have 8 days to go. This is a finance show, not a politics show. But when you're 8 days away from the election, it's kind of hard not to talk about politics sometimes, especially as they affect the markets. And that's what we're going to talk about today in a few minutes. The thing that I'm kind of stuck on is that I talk to Biden supporters, and they are convinced that Biden is going to win. And I talk to Trump supporters, and they are convinced that Trump is going to win. They're 100% certain. That's weird, okay? Usually what happens in an election is that somebody is ahead in the polls, and everybody starts to acknowledge that the election is going a certain direction. You know, in 2012, Obama and Romney, and that wasn't a landslide. You know, I think it was 52-48 or something like that. But leading up until the election, the last couple of weeks, you could kind of see which way it was going, and everybody was just kind of resigned to the fact that Obama was going to win. And it's 8 days before the election, and you have people that just are 100% certain that their candidate is going to win. It's weird. Like, I don't have that certainty about this. I really don't. I am not 100% certain of anything. In this case, I am certain of nothing. I have doubt. Remember that movie, Doubt? Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman. The last scene in that movie is unbelievable. Meryl Streep, she says, "I have doubt." It was really, really good. In terms of the polls, the polls show that Biden is ahead. Some of the polls show that he is ahead by a substantial amount. And people say, well, the polls don't matter because they didn't matter in 2016. The polls were wrong, so they're going to be wrong again. I'm kind of stuck on this. And not all polls are showing, to be fair, not all polls are showing Biden ahead. Rasmussen had a poll today that showed that Trump was ahead. So, what do you make of all this? And I wouldn't turn to Nate Silver in 538 for answers because he's called like 0 out of the last 4 elections. So I really don't know where to go. And the other thing about this is that national polls don't really mean anything. Anytime you hear like a national poll that says Biden is up 54-46, that's not how we elect the president. We don't take a national poll. So a lot of people would like us to do that. They would like us to have the popular vote, but that's not how it works. We have the Electoral College. And really, when it comes down to the math of the Electoral College, it comes down to a handful of states and it comes down to a handful of counties. So the national polls, don't really mean anything. By the way, if Trump wins this election, which, is possible, I like I said, I have no opinion. I have zero opinion. If Trump wins the election, the entire profession of polling is just done. They're done forever, And we know from the last time that the polls were inaccurate that they systematically undercount Republican voters. And, that's largely due to cultural reasons. Because Republican voters are uncomfortable sharing conservative opinions because they're frowned upon. And they don't want to cooperate with pollsters, so they just hang up the phone, and maybe that is happening again. But like I said, some of these polls have Biden ahead by 14 points, 16 points, 18 points. Are there 18 percentage points worth of undercounted Republican voters? I kind of doubt it. So I have no idea what's going to happen. I was texting with one of my very good friends today, and he says, "What do you think of the election?" And I write back, I said, "I have no idea." He says, "Me either." I have no idea what is going to happen into the election. And I think that's the right call. In an environment where you have people with 100% conviction. Everybody has 100% conviction. I think the right call is to have doubt and skepticism and just say you don't know. We're going to get into the portfolio aspects of this into the second. And I'm not the type of person that is afraid to make a call. Like, I will risk my reputation on stuff. I do it all the time. I do this for a living. And if I felt strongly that one of the two candidates was going to win, I would say that. But I just don't have that degree of conviction. I just know that everyone else seems to have conviction, which makes me have doubt. I have a lot of doubt as to the outcome of the election, which I think is the right approach. One interesting thing about this, they are projecting turnout at 65%. Now, I went to Wikipedia today, the source of all information, and I looked up turnout in elections going back in history. And you have to go back to 1908 to have an election that had 65% turnout. That's incredible. Now, a lot of people say high turnout is great. You have a lot of people engaged in politics. You have a lot of people engaged in the political process. All these people are participating in government. That's not the way I look at it. High turnout is bad, okay? And one of the things I noticed when I looked at that chart of turnout over time is that whenever you had low turnout, those were the good times. And whenever you had high turnout, those were the bad times. The last time we had really high turnout was in 1968. Not a good time. In 1996, Clinton versus Dole, turnout was 49%, the lowest in history. And if you remember 1996, it was a very happy time. We were doing the Macarena. And 1996, by the way, was right before we had 4 years of explosive technological growth, rising stock markets, prosperity, the happiest time that I can remember in my life, 1996. And turnout was 49%. And, if you think about it, when government is so irrelevant to you and insignificant and it has no effect on your life, those are the good times, and those are the times that turnout is low. When people have fear about government is when turnout is high. So the best times in history are when the pages of history are blank. A high turnout rate is a sign of something seriously wrong underneath the surface. So yeah, I have no idea who is going to win. Now, I am prepared, at least psychologically, for either eventuality. I am prepared for higher taxes. I went through the 7 stages of grief, acceptance and bargaining and all that stuff. I could pay a lot more in taxes next year, and I'm kind of mentally prepared for it. I'm prepared for all the nonsense that's going to happen if Trump wins. Is my portfolio prepared? I think it is. Now, if you go back 6 months ago, people were predicting that the election was going to be a disaster, that there could be a tie, that it might take weeks to count all the mail-in ballots. I mean, it still might be a disaster, but that is mostly priced in at this point. The market is probably not going to crash. It was down today. It was down about 2% today. That's not a crash. I'll tell you what I did to protect my portfolio from the election. And probably if you're subscribed to a bunch of financial newsletters and services and stuff, all you got for the last 6 months was emails saying, how do you protect your portfolio from the election? You know what I did to protect my portfolio from the election? Nothing. I didn't do anything. I did nothing. I haven't hedged. I haven't taken down my net exposure. I haven't changed anything I've done. And I think nothing is the best approach. At a minimum, you do not want to give away your upside. You don't want to sell stocks, If you give away your upside and you stop compounding, I would not be selling calls in this environment. I would not be selling your stocks, hoping to buy them back later at lower prices. I would not do that stuff. You want to stay invested and keep compounding. And yeah, there's going to be some short-term volatility. The markets probably are going to be kind of nuts in the days after the election. It is going to be a roller coaster. But in a long-term context, over a 40-year investing career, a couple days around the election is going to be statistical noise, and we shouldn't focus on it. You know, in 2065, if you're 25 years old, in 2065, you won't think about what happened in October 2020. And just keep putting that money in your 401k, keep investing, keep dollar cost averaging, keep compounding. But yeah, the crazy thing about the election is how sure people are. I got an email from a rando subscriber today, and she was saying that she was 99% sure that Trump was going to be elected. There is no evidence to support that. Now, you can dig down into the secondary data, and, what was his name? Jim Rickards tweeted about a month ago talking about gun registrations in Pennsylvania. I mean, so you can dig down into that data, but the polls are not exactly in his favor. Half the country is going to be incredibly wrong, especially if it's not close. So my advice to you is to stay off Facebook in the days following the election. I mean, it's bad enough as it is. It's a landfill of people's garbage opinions, which I hate reading every day. But stay off Facebook for a while. Just go about your business as if everything is normal, because in market terms, it is normal. We've had a bunch of elections over the years. Buy when the market is down, buy when the market is up, and buy when the market is flat. It's called dollar cost averaging. And I swear, I can promise you this, everything is going to be okay. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.